Hey, the fun never stops. The action, the excitement, entertainment, you get it all at Parks Casino and Sportsbook, the #1 casino in Pennsylvania, the only casino and sportsbook that I recommend in Pennsylvania. Play the $80,000 Money Mania. Get it? Mania sweepstakes only at Parks Casino. Earn entries beginning May 14 for your chance to win a share of $55,000 free slot play and for a chance to take home $25,000 in cash. Don't miss these top headliners coming to the Excite Center at Parks Casino. Almost Queen. So if you're still caught up in the coronation and you want to have that lingering feeling, how about Almost Queen? That's a tribute on Saturday, June 24. This is kind of funny. I had to be reminded that they are not only a car, they are a band. Tesla is coming to Parks on July 28th. The Wallflowers, Melissa Etheridge and Elle King, the Australian Pink Floyd show everybody loves, comedian Lewis Black, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. For tickets and a complete list of the upcoming events, visit Parks, P-A-R-X, casino.com. Parks Casino and Sportsbook, this is how you win. Got to be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. So lots of interesting polling data from the last couple of days, most notably, I think, as discussed, the ABC Washington Post poll showing President Biden with a new low in terms of his approval rating, 36%. 68% of respondents in ABC and Washington Post say he's too old. And I know you're saying, well, what about Trump? Trump's almost as old as he is. 44% say that Trump is too old. You know, age is a relative thing, as we've discussed many times over. 68% say Biden's too old. 44% say Trump is too old. In a head-to-head, Trump beats Biden 45-39. Yes, I know we don't select our presidents by the popular vote, but still, it's significant. And both DeSantis and Trump beat Biden. This is a big week. This coming week, you could see a verdict. In fact, my gut tells me you probably will see a civil verdict against Donald Trump in that E. Jean Carroll case. He's not testifying. He missed the deadline, so he's just going to roll the dice without ever having appeared. But, you know, that's going to linger out there. That could come within just a few days. You also have it occurs to me, you also have the Wednesday night CNN Trump Town Hall, which could provide Caitlin Collins an incredible opportunity if that verdict comes in beforehand to ask former President Trump about the outcome of that case. And of course, you know, we're talking about Donald Trump leading polls against Joe Biden, having been indicted by Alvin Bragg, facing a threat of indictment by Fani Willis in Fulton County, Georgia, and who knows what Jack Smith and Merrick Garland are going to do. That's all very foreboding for Trump. Then again, for Biden, keep your eye on Thursday, because Thursday is when Title 42 goes away. Other interesting polling. How about this from the Washington Post? And this, I think, is worthy of a couple of minutes of analysis. Most Americans support anti-trans policies favored by the GOP, says new poll. Clear majorities, this is the Washington Post, clear majorities of Americans support restrictions affecting transgender children, offering political jet fuel for Republicans in state houses and Congress who are pushing measures restricting curriculum, sports participation, and medical care. So that's the headline. You hear the headline, you say, wow, really? Americans are lining up with the GOP on matters related to transgender issues? Then I delve into some of the data. Can we do this together? And you can play along at home or wherever you might be. Which statement comes closer to your views, even if neither is exactly right? So you're going to get two choices. I want you to answer wherever you are. Which of these matches your perspective? Whether someone is a man or woman is determined by the sex they were assigned at birth. That's one choice. Second choice, someone can be a man or woman even if that is different from the sex they were assigned at birth. I'm in the latter category. I believe someone can be a man or woman even if that is different from the sex they were assigned at birth. And I am 61. And among those who are 55 to 64, I'm in the distinct minority. 37% feel as I do. 63% say whether someone is a man or woman is determined by the sex they were assigned at birth, period. TC, I know you see that issue the same way that I see that issue.
I do see the issue the same way. And I think it's, I understand why people might not understand it. I mean, I think it's complicated. I think gender and sexuality, two different things, are very much, something that some people don't ever meet or know or learn about anyone that is different from themselves. And then that can be a very big unknown. I think if you got to know a trans person, it would just seem like, okay, I understand. And wow, I can't imagine feeling like I am in the wrong body and how awful that must be. So I think, I think a little compassion, and I think a little understanding. And as with all things, I think if you knew and loved someone who was maybe slightly different, then that would go a long, long way.
So the headline suggests that the American people line up with Republicans in opposing trans, right? The reason that I wanted to spend time on this, and this was in the Sunday newsletter,
yes,
is because when you get into the data, I think that headline is misleading. Let me try and prove that to you. Okay. Do you support or oppose laws prohibiting discrimination against trans people? And now I'm going to give you a variety of circumstances. In housing, at their jobs and workplaces, at colleges and universities, from getting health insurance, by medical professionals, in K through 12 schools, in the U.S. military. And in every one of those categories, the vast majority of people support prohibiting discrimination against trans people. So, for example, 74% say don't discriminate against trans people in housing. 73% say don't prohibit. Jesus, now I'm saying it all screwed up. Don't discriminate against trans people.
Okay, so where's the disconnect?
To jobs and workplaces.
Where's the disconnect?
Because I think the headline suggested that you would have seen a majority of people saying, yeah, go ahead and discriminate against them.
Because it shouldn't be. In other words, okay, so, but is there a disconnect? In other words, are people saying that they do not agree that you can be a different gender from what you're born, but if you do identify as trans, we're still not going to discriminate against you? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know what I'm saying. I think that the data is much more nuanced than the headline suggests.
Interesting.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I think there's a lot to be said about when transgender care should be administered. In other words, when people should be able to transition, how young, what should go into that. I think there's a lot. The science.
I am so distracted.
What?
By a big ass bee that is menacing me.
Oh, do you have your? Wait a minute. This is actually a situation.
Do I have
your
my
EpiPen?
I do not.
Uh-oh. Wow. This could be it. I could be a goner.
I think I just screwed up the data, but hopefully you're getting the point from me that it's complicated.
Is that why you got up? Is that why you got up a second ago? Like, I'm watching
I had to get up and take a whack at it. And one of my sons says, never go after them. Why would you antagonize
Wait
them?
a minute. Is it just like a buzzy bee? Like, they're not going to hurt you? Is it like a yellow jacket? What's the situation?
It's a wasp.
It's a wasp.
The kind that stung me right here in 6th grade on my throat.
Oh.
And my throat closed up and I went to the ER. And I'll never forget. It's kind of funny because the hospital has long since moved on from that location. And I'll never forget that at that location in the ER, they said to my mother, if you can't get him to the ER and this happens again, you're going to have to take a knife and cut, right there in that V.
Okay, wait a minute. Is anyone there with you? Like, you're at a bunker at an undisclosed location, and now you got me hurt. I'm a little concerned.
I normally say a safe and secure. I don't know how safe it is with this bee. Can I get back to the transgender data?
If you can do it right.
Oh, yeah. This time I'm going to be focused.
Okay, please.
Okay? This
But
time
keep
I'm
an eye on
gonna
that
be focused.
B.
Most Americans say trans women and girls should not be allowed to compete in sports with other women and girls. Do you think trans women and girls should or should not be able to compete with other women? And then it's broken down: youth sports, high school sports, college sports, professional sports. And in these instances, a majority in every category say they should not be allowed to compete. My view, for what it's worth, I agree they should not be able to compete later. When you get into like youth sports, I'm not going to tell, if there's a question, we're about to get to it, I'm not going to tell a 12-year-old you can't compete, because what are the stakes? But the older that they get and the more serious becomes the competition, then the less inclined I am to support, say, Leah Thomas. Hopefully I said that clearly, TC.
I think you did say it clearly. What you're saying is that as you get older, you think that there needs to be a different lane for trans athletes, so that cis females, cis males compete in one category and then trans compete in another. I don't think you're saying you don't want them to be able to compete in anything, but there's got to be some kind of fairness.
Yeah, I'm for inclusion and fairness, and they're not always entirely possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's one of these instances where the rules or the laws haven't caught up with the gender and that's the issue.
I don't know if there are a sufficient number of transgender athletes to be able to set up said competition.
I know, but if I had a trans child, I would want them to be involved. Then I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the answer is.
Okay, well, I'm in the majority of the data that I just offered to you. So, shame on me, but that's how I see it. Now I think that the really hard stuff. Do you think it appropriate or inappropriate for teachers to discuss trans identity in public schools, in students, and then it gives different grade levels? 77% say inappropriate to have this type of conversation with kindergarten to third graders. 70% say elementary school grades 4 and 5, inappropriate. And then the numbers get less. And by the time we're talking high school, 64% say it is appropriate for teachers to discuss trans identity in public schools with students of that age. I'm in those categories as well. I'm reflected in that data.
I am too. I mean, my recollection was that Emma had like a sex education course at her school in 7th grade. And I think 7th grade is probably right around the time where everybody's getting their hormones and it's a whole situation and you got to talk about it. So I think that's about the right time. And if you want, and then, obviously whatever goes on in families and you can teach your children, whatever you want to teach your children, hopefully to be kind, inclusive, compassionate, and a good person.
This is what I regard as the most difficult, and then I'm done, and we'll move on to other headlines.
Oh, boy.
A majority of Americans support gender-affirming counseling for youth and teens, but oppose medication. Question: do you support or oppose trans children between the ages of 10 and 14? Then a separate category, teenagers between the ages of 15 and 17 having access to the following: gender-affirming counseling or therapy. 62% support that counseling or therapy for trans children 10 to 14. That kind of surprised me. Puberty-blocking medication in the 10 to 14 category, opposed by 68%.
Wow.
Trans teen ages 15 to 17, again, like 2/3, 66% say counseling is fine, therapy is fine. Hormonal treatments, 15 to 17, 58% oppose. This is, I think, so hard because I don't know that any two are the same. I think it's very hard to set a firm age and say, okay, by this age, here's what you can do and here's what you can't do.
I am so with you on that. I am so for the therapy. And I think I have heard and read that some people feel like that therapy by definition is pushing a child towards trans. And I don't see it that way. I think that you need to again, it's so individual. It needs to be a good therapist. It needs to be someone that understands all the ramifications. And then per child, I think every case is different. If you have a child who is going to be absolutely miserable and not themselves and feeling not inside their bodies because they're not getting help, you need to help that child.
I totally agree.
You need to help
totally
that child.
Agree. This was contained in yesterday's Smerconish.com daily newsletter. Spend some time, look at the data. The B footnote, the B as in BEE, is that I may have maligned the second subcategory.
Okay, so just know that there were issues. There were issues.
More headlines now from Smerconish.com, the Monday edition of the newsletter. TC, what you got?
Well, I mean, we have to talk about the coronation.
I watched none of it. None of it.
I know. That remains absolutely shocking to me. I just thought it was spectacular, flawless, history, pageantry, family at its best. No one does it like the Brits. It was just unbelievable. You would have loved it.
I'm thrilled. No, I may go back and watch it because I'm an Anglophile and I love this sort of thing. But as discussed, I had a very rare Saturday off, and I was in a stream by the time Charles was being coronated. So I was fishing. It was a beautiful weather day. I was thrilled to do what I did, but I couldn't watch any of it. The only thing that I caught was Harry landing at LAX.
Oh, well,
that
good.
Was the only part that I caught.
Did you wear your free Harry T-shirt to go fishing? That's the main question.
I may have had it on under a thermal outer shirt. Yes.
I mean, they just did it so well, though. I have to say. And then yesterday was the Coronation Concert. There's a link about that. It's at Smerconish.com today, which was a huge concert at Windsor. The King and Queen attended. The Waleses attended. And Charlotte and George and Louis continue to steal the show. Louis was not at the concert last night. It was past his bedtime. But I just thought everybody was just in great form all weekend long. So it was great.
I'm thrilled it went off without a hitch.
Oh, me too.
There are a lot of intangibles, and frankly, I wouldn't have said it on Friday when we were together, but I worry about security issues. And I'm just glad they pulled it off and all was well. And I have to tell you this, 2 people in my orbit, independent of what I said here on Friday, said to me, I'm feeling, a hankering, or however they expressed it, to go to London.
Oh, interesting.
I'm telling you, TC.
Oh, yeah.
The biggest value from that coronation is the buzz it creates among people who are so inclined to yeah, it's time to go over there.
You mean like the 20 million people who watched it worldwide? Yeah,
yes,
I think so.
Absolutely.
A few of us want to go over there.
Listen, before we run out of time,
yes.
I know you're dying to make fun of me, and you may, based on the Sunday poll result. I just want to say that there was a day that when 6,000 people voted in a poll question, we would have been elated because we were stuck at like the 400 vote mark. I said to you on Friday, this is going to be the Sunday poll question, and I'm prepared to accept that people won't vote.
Yes.
But I still love the fact that we did it, although I'm a bit perplexed. Please explain.
Okay, you did say that. And yes, you're right. There was a time that we would have been thrilled with, 6,194 votes. However, this is not that time. So
yes,
but
it is.
You were absolutely dead set on asking who should succeed Logan Roy, a succession question. Should. And the people were saying, so it was either Connor, Roman, Kendall, how do you pronounce the other one, and other. Shiv? That's how you pronounce that? What?
Yep, that's how you say her name.
No, but that's not how you pronounce. There you go, okay. Siobhan.
Nobody who watches the show says that, TC.
Okay.
Shiv.
Oh, okay. Gonna shiv you. Anyway, so 6,194 votes, and remarkably, other came out on top. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, which means none of the kids, because your choices. This is the HBO final season 4, couple of episodes left. Something really big has already happened this season. I'm not going to say what it is. It's a wonderful show. I love it. so much that I've gone back and rewatched early episodes. But the whole question, as implied by the title of the show, Succession, is to see who will be the successor to Logan Roy. So I gave the 4 kids as choices, and the audience, albeit 6,000, said, should, none of the above. Nobody likes the kids. It ought to be somebody outside the family. Today's poll question asks the following: should Fox News pay Tucker Carlson $20 million per year until January of 2025? That's how long he's under contract. Or should they let him out of his contract? And you're saying, Michael, wait a minute, they fired him for a racist text. Why would they continue to pay him? They would continue to pay him to keep him off the sidelines. And as I said earlier, the person I think most closely watching this from the outside is one Donald Trump, because Donald Trump does not want Tucker Carlson in a trout stream or on a beach somewhere for the next couple of years. He wants him in the game for the 2024 cycle. So that's the backstory. Go to Smerconish.com, vote on today's poll question. Like and subscribe. See you tomorrow.